Okay. So hi everybody. Welcome. I'm so glad to see so many people here. Um, we got two panelists as well as myself here today. I'm Adam Mixter, the Global Head of Developer Experience. I'm a great person to ask all of your questions about services that we offer and that sort of thing. Joining us today is Johan Lindholm, who's going to tell you about himself in 30 seconds or less.
So that would be me, right? So you want me now? All right. So I'm Johan Lindholm. Been with Configura since '96. Been developing in basically every type of industry. So and now I moved into more of a technical architect sales role. So more technical sales, but still doing development all the time. My favorite subject is performance, by the way.
Awesome. Uh, Magnus Karlgren is also here.
Good morning. Let's see if I can find a camera. That work? Yeah. I'm Magnus. I've been around since the birth of CT, so I'm one of the three original developers behind it. Moved to the US 2006. Been kind of grinding away a little bit in the background in core as part developer, part architect. Nowadays, I work with Johan in sales, if you will.
Cool. And then last up, we have Paul Jones.
There we go. Sorry, I'm fighting with stuff. I forgot I have my my background wrong. I'll have to fix that. Whatever. Yeah, so Paul Jones been here, I don't know, like 12-ish years, I'm gonna say. I've worked from R&D to our production to our to training to all kinds of things. These days, I'm the product owner for the developer tools team. So I work with a team that does things like operator, Emacs integration, the VS Code extension, and the compiler. Yeah, that's what I do. And I'm also known for having a cool background normally, but I don't have it set up yet.
Cool. Yeah, so if anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute. If it gets out of control, I'll ask people to raise their hands, but it didn't last time, so I don't expect it to be like that. So go ahead.
Hi, Adam. This is Sriram here.
Hi, Shriyam.
Yeah, hi. So I have one question. It's related to catalog, actually. So like on on Miller side, like we basically have two environment for any catalog. So one is development environment, and the other one is production environment. So the outside users, the end users do have access only to the production environment, but not with the development environment. Recent times, like if you are working in a development environment, though the the development version of catalog is turned on upon turning on the respective extension. But when I try to open any customer drawing which is saved in official, obviously that will have a production ID, portfolio ID. So upon opening that in my dev environment, it is automatically turn on the other catalog also. So for under each extension, now it's enabling two catalogs. So because of that, like a lot of confusion is happening. Earlier, that was not the scenario, that was not the behavior. But somewhere, like for last couple of weeks, I'm seeing that particular behavior, Adam. So I'm not sure any recent changes, like breaking that behavior or it's expected behavior. Or
Yeah, I don't really have any answer for you on that one. I'm not aware of that problem or anything that would cause that off the top of my head. I don't know if anybody else happens to know something.
No, blissfully unaware.
So I would recommend sending in a dev support ticket on that one, and then we can try to help you there.
I'll create one. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks.
I have a quick question. I'm using the configure a VS Code extension, and is there a way to turn off the autosave in CT? Because it seems like at times whenever I'm editing code, autosave will kick off, and because my code doesn't compile, it'll just crash CT.
I'm pretty sure yes, but I need to know specifically what you mean by autosave.
It seems like there is an autosave that happens every so often where it's just trying to like autosave my current drawing or something like that. I haven't really found a setting. Yeah, I haven't really found a setting in like control panel or anything like that to just turn off autosave.
Oh, that's a CT question, then it's not VS Code that's doing that, but there is an autosave.
Yeah, I know.
There is an autosave feature in the control. I think it's in the control panel, right, Adam?
Yeah, it is. I'm trying to. Sorry, I'm trying to boot up CET right now. So.
Okay.
Isn't there like a snapshotting feature? Does that happen automatically in VS Code?
No, that's a different thing, and it's not enabled by default. Well, it's a thing you have to do manually each time anyway.
Yeah.
We are going to have a talk at CT Experience about snapshotting if you are more interested in that topic.
I know what you're talking about, though, Kyle. I've experienced the same thing.
Yeah, there seems to be something every so often that will happen, and if I'm guessing if your code is not in a compilable state, because like you're typing away, it will just immediately cause a crash, and it will just open up some random file, and because you're typing, it now starts overwriting code in this random file.
I've posted to the CET dev forums about this too, showing some screenshots in the past.
Yeah.
Can you check if it's autosave? Because that is in that data management tab in the control panel.
It's in data management. Okay. Yeah, okay, I see it now. Sorry, I should have been a little more diligent in my searching. I would have figured I would find that under like general or something.
And notice that mine is off. Let's say.
Yep. I'm assuming that's probably what it is, because I imagine the autosave and in some way has to go look at your class definitions and stuff, and so if your code doesn't really compile, it's gonna freak out.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Kieran has been waiting graciously with his hand raised, so I'm gonna go ahead and call on him.
Yeah, hi Adam. Thanks for noticing that. Yeah, so I've been facing an issue with regards to the file referencing from the catalog. Adam. So I have we have a URL.db3 file in all the catalog folders that we have. We have a file name with same name in both the production portfolio and the dev clone portfolio. But the order should be like when we are developing the file should be referenced from the dev clone portfolio. But somehow URL.db3 is messing up with this logic, and it's always trying to fetch the file that is in the production portfolio. So how do we override it?
Have you reported that issue? Because that sounds pretty bad.
Yeah, no.
I don't think there's any way that you can control that. Basically, the URL DB3s are generated on a web server. I don't really know if you have any control over those files, other than to try to inject like SQL code into them directly, which I wouldn't recommend.
Okay. So what's the logic behind the caching mechanism that we have in place for this URL.db3 file? For each file, they are trying to load a cache in the URL.db3 file. So what's the logic behind that caching mechanism?
I wish I knew offhand. I don't really know. Does anybody else know that one?
I should remember. Because I asked the same question many times or a few times. I mean, the URL DB3 file is just there to make sure that you have the latest files, right? And telling the system what files you need and all that kind of good stuff. So, and it's all happening on the server side, or lots of it. So, I'm unsure.
Yeah, so that would be a good one if you do write a ticket, which I would advise if you're having that problem for dev support, because they can actually talk to the people who are responsible for that directly and then get you an answer. I know it stinks to not be able to tell everybody all at once, but
Sure, Adam, I'll do that.
Adam, did you see Derek's question in the chat?
I did. Yeah, I was just trying to do it in order. But thank you. Yeah, Derek actually had a question about facelift. Essentially, with the new UI, there's some interactions that users can right-click on library icons. After reading the documentation, it doesn't seem like there's anything in there about it. Yeah, so there's a lot of the development part of the documentation for the design system is still in progress. I'm not exactly sure where that's at. In fact, I should have talked to the guy who's responsible for that particular stuff the last time I had a chance. But if you do actually have any issues like that, like, hey, where's this information? If you click the feedback button on the right-hand side, I'm just going to share my screen real quick here. On the right-hand side, you'll see that there's this feedback button now over this little banner guy. If you click on this and then you fill this out for us, this will actually it makes a dev support ticket, and then that will actually get generated over to the correct team to deal with that. So yeah, if you can go ahead and let us know if there's any problems like that over here, we'll get that over to the right people. So I don't have an answer for you on that one offhand. I know that a couple of people actually did do some facelift stuff. So does anybody actually have answers off that one off the top of their head?
Or like any classes we can look in to find these types of new interactions. I think I was told by my boss to figure out how to do the right click, and so far haven't found it yet. To be continued, apparently.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead and toss that our way, and then we can hopefully get you an answer on that one. The reason that the whole design system thing says beta is because that development type documentation isn't done yet. The idea is to get all those new UI elements out there so everybody understands how to use them and all that stuff before we take the beta flag off. Is the idea. So, but yeah, if you do need help on anything like that, like I said, feel free to just ask, and then we'll do our best to get you an answer.
I can give you a gut take, Derek. Just again, this is not a quotation. I mean, definitely do it as Adam suggested and ask for more information. But just to give you something for now, my gut tells me that we would not promote right-click interaction for toolbox items. UX people tend to hate right-click in general. But on top of that, I think we have tried to frame the toolbox as almost being like a palette. Like these are things you can put in the drawing, like click and put this here, click and put this here. So having a more like in-depth context menu, I think would kind of go against that. But again, these are just guesses, just kind of reading the room, how I would think about that.
Cool. I believe the next up is Felipe. Go ahead, Felipe.
Hey, I was just unmuting myself. Sorry for that. I guess Kyle was the one who asked the question about Visual Studio going wild as you're typing your stuff in the editor. It tries to kind of do stuff and it crashes from time to time. There's a configuration in there called suggest on trigger characters, and maybe you should try and set it to false. It will definitely kind of give you more time to do your stuff before trying to send anything over to the compiler. I don't know if that's the issue that you're facing, but I do have, or I had that in the past, and that's the config option that actually helped me get rid of it.
Interesting. I was just writing a comment about that, about how I wasn't sure if it was the hover feature, because I feel like if my mouse accidentally hovers over something, while I'm in the middle of typing, it tries to like compile it and then breaks things.
Well, it could be both. On my end, what I have disabled is the suggest
on trigger characters.
Yes.
Nice.
I think we're talking about different things, but it's still worth talking about. As I understand it, Kyle was asking about the actual CET was saving drawings as he was working, which is a different thing. But actually, since we're here, it might be worth talking about those settings because it's been something we've been messing with quite a bit. I'm going to share my screen here in a second. Share. Engage, sharing. Share Nation begin. Share Nation progress. Okay. So yes, so basically all of these here that you see with the experimental, the reason we have marked them that way is because all of these will, without your specific request, cause the file to be saved, compiled, and then do a thing. Because right now, all of these features require asking the compiler about the current state of the code. In order to have the current state of the code, it needs to recompile it. We are, as of right now, like in this current PI, we're working on a way around this, but it's not there yet. So if you are having problems where like you're getting like compiler output and errors and whatnot while you're typing or while you're moving your mouse around, you probably just want to turn these settings off. So this is completion enabled, definitions enabled, and or hover definitions and hover help. Turn these off for now until we get that sorted.
Awesome. Kieran also dropped a question from the forum in the chat about Dev Studio. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you on that one. I've not seen that particular issue for myself, but I am genuinely curious, Kieran, do you actually use Developer Studio often?
Yes, Adam, I do use. Like for seeing the file history and all those stuff, like when Dev Studio is handy. And it happens only for the first time, Adam. After that, it is working fine.
Cool. Yeah, we don't actually hear a whole lot of people using using Dev Studio to do things. So it's really kind of refreshing to hear about it, which actually is probably also why I'm not aware of any issue with it, because it gets used so seldomly.
Don't scrap it, by the way. There are people using.
Yeah, we're not at that point yet. But it is always helpful to hear about that. Speaking of scrapping things, actually, though, I am working on the big fancy developer experience survey. If you didn't get a chance to participate last year, I guess I'm going to use this as a soapbox to talk about it. Essentially, we use that as a guiding light for developer experience to figure out what we should be doing next and what sort of services we should offer, what sort of things we need to enhance or change. Those things don't always go super fast, but we are working on things based on the survey every year. And this year's is no different, but we're also going to have an optional section where we talk about a bunch of the developer tools that exist. Most of them will be just little bits of code in disparate places throughout base that essentially you might not even have known existed. In fact, I would put money on it that you didn't know that they existed. But the idea is to essentially put all those up in a lineup and ask people which ones they actually use, because we are going to be talking about things that were probably a developer real quick wrote up a thing to debug something that someone else can make in about 10 minutes, and maybe we don't really need to keep that around. So I'm going to have a list of them, and if you're interested in keeping those, let us know that way. Murali has his hand up. Go ahead.
Hi, Adam. And this is a general question. So, are there any features that are implemented using the artificial intelligence and CET?
Sorry, I was having a little bit of a hard time hearing it. Any features implementing?
Are there any features being implemented using the artificial intelligence in CET?
Using AI.
Yes.
I don't know of any that we're currently working on at the moment. I know that's been a discussion point a couple of times at a conference, a manufacturer related conference in Europe. There was like a workshop that they did on that to talk about what AI type features people might be interested in, but I'm not aware of any active development at this time.
I do see the OpenCV package under CET Designer. That's why I asked this question. I was like little bit curious about to know that OpenCV package. I think which was under the CET Designer.
Huh? Yeah, I didn't know we had an OpenCV package. That's news to me, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be happy to look into that a little bit for.
I might have a clue on this one, actually.
Okay, go ahead.
Just checking. Make sure this is what it is. So, okay, this is, again, a guess. But I know at one point we were experimenting with different kinds of automated testing options. And I know one of the things we had explored was the ability to look at the CT screen and recognize certain phenomena as part of a test, like find an OK button or find a chair or something like that. And this might have been part of that project. I don't think that went anywhere, but again, these are all guesses, just telling you things that might be relevant.
Thanks, Bob.
Go ahead, Felipe.
I don't know if that's just me, but I cannot send message in the chat here. So just heads up there.
Appreciate it.
I have to.
That's actually specifically for you.
Yeah, we did
Just
say
don't like it
disable
that
for
much.
Felipe.
Yeah, I figured. I figured that much.
No, we actually we do office hours in Teams as well, and we found that we had all kinds of weird hiccups with it. Actually, that is something I was going to talk about, but it does feel a little silly. But I guess in a way, maybe it's not. We'll probably end up switching this meeting over to Zoom for Q1 of next year. Basically because I'm working on some things that are related to this that will make it a little bit easier for people to find this meeting, I think, in general, and when it actually is, and like to add that invite to their Outlook calendar or whatever. So yes, we'll probably end up moving over there. Kieran wants to know, Paul, how you managed to get Godzilla behind you there. I'm guessing this is actually live footage from where you are. So.
Yeah, this is what's going on in Grand Rapids right now. It is wild. We just had the Trump rally this weekend, and we're still recovering, as you can see.
But no, seriously, Kieran, if you're actually interested, a quick Google search, you can find how to add GIFs as your background for Teams. It's actually kind of silly. You. Oh, sweet.
This is just some random web page I found. I think this is the one I found to do it. But yeah, you have to do some tinkering.
Shriram, I do see your message here. I don't actually know if Shriram's still here, about potentially getting some catalog people in here. I've actually thought about a couple of different options for this as well, and I guess people can just let me know if any of these sound interesting. But I had considered actually doing the same thing, but at a different time for questions related to catalog creator and related to QA. Actually, and basically having like a once a month cycle with one chat for specifically development questions, one chat specifically for catalog questions, and one chat for QA questions. It kind of helps keep that stuff separate and make sure that we can continue to bring like the best experts at the same time without getting the meeting too crowded. But I kind of want to see how this one went for a while to see if we could get a lot of questions or not. Annie asks, are any of the R&D teams working on fun projects you guys can share with us? Like forwards we can look, features we can look forward to. Also, hi, little heart.
Yeah, generally we don't like to work on anything that anyone wants. So.
No.
Nope.
Solve that one.
Just makes life easier. Keep the bar low. I can speak a little bit for my team. So this is this meeting a meme? It's getting there. My team is doing a couple of interesting things. So I think at this point it's safe to say that we're working on updating developer operator to install the newest version of Emacs by default, version 29.3. So eventually everyone will be upgraded to the newest version of Emacs, which is pretty cool because it has some performance optimizations and it has support for a lot of different like packages that people really like. It has support for like what's it called? A tree sitter by default. It's got support for the language servers by default. It's got support for a lot of the more modern like Emacs packages. So a lot of people are really excited about that. The other product teams. Did you know of anything off the top of your head, Adam, while I try and remember?
Yeah, I'm just gonna sit here and think about it for a little bit. I
think
go
ahead.
I believe that there are some things coming out of the Facelift project to try to improve UI elements and that sort of thing that already generally exists. We also are working on some analytics stuff. There should be some information drops coming fairly soon about like what developers might be able to do today to get better analytical data and that sort of thing. So that's one of the things that we're working on. There's actually documentation, I believe, already up on the help articles for that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the big ones that I can think of, at least.
I did think of one other thing, but I suspect they're trying to hold that off as a reveal for CETX.
Yeah.
And it's more of a user-facing feature anyway. But
yeah, I was just going to say, there's several teams that are working on functionality that are more for the users than for the developers. So, the material dialogues and whatnot. I don't think those are cool features for you guys, unfortunately.
Well, okay, the stuff that Radical is doing with, I don't know where they are with this project or what kind of commitments we've actually made. So I guess, don't quote me on this, but I know Radical is doing some work on comm stuff. And as I understand it, part of it was to enable better developer options as well. Like it was mostly a user-facing change, but I think there was also some like better comm integrations they were working on, I think.
Yeah, I have a hard time keeping a track on that because it's there's a long list of here's the stuff we should do, and then what actually comes out, I'm not 100% sure. So same thing. Yeah. I don't want to promise anything here, but yeah, they're reworking quite a bit of stuff there.
Yeah, that they're in like heavy R&D right now. Last I checked.
I see that Felipe asked, speaking of Tree Sitter, does Configura have a CM parser / language binding for it?
If I understand what you're asking, we do have a Tree Sitter dialect for CM, yes. The VS Code extension actually uses it. If that's something you're interested in, I don't know if that's a problem or not. We might be able to just let it out there. I don't see why not. But yeah, if you wanted to take a look at that, I would love to have it actually opened up so that we could accept contributions as well. That'd be really nice. For things we're missing, can just push in like a merge request or something. More stuff I don't need to maintain.
I was going to make note too. It's Sweden and Europe in general, but the Swedish office is their summer vacation is almost absurdly long, so there's not much going on at all right now. I would mention that.
Yeah, it is that time of year when the Swedes go on vacation and things are a little bit slower.
I mean, the biggest user-facing update coming, I don't know if it's both for material handling or for everyone with the isometric view coming here for the November release, right? I believe it's in the November release that gets released to the public. That's by far the biggest user change.
Forgot about that one.
I'm going to pretend that I know, but just in case everybody else here doesn't know, tell me more, Johan.
All right, an isometric view is where you can see your 3D environment with no perspective, i.e. you can do more like AutoCAD classic stuff where you have a complete side view and a complete top view of your three-dimensional space and things like that without perspective.
And I would add to that just because you're thinking that it's like AutoCAD, it might not be in version 1.
No.
There's an isometric view, but it's not. Think of it as a first version.
Yes, think of it like that, and also for people to be able to give us feedback and how they want to move it forward. So yeah, there's a good, nice picture right there. And also our AutoCAD importer will have a choice. So just so you know, in the background, we usually take all the lines, all 2D entities that exist and put them on the floor. That posed an issue to some extent when it came to these isometric views, because sometimes they basically are putting all the 2D entities in three-dimensional space to just show you like a elevation, more or less, in 3D space in some instances. And so in the release coming up, there will be a choice for you to either move everything down to 2D, to the 0 points, to 0 Z level, as we always have done since we had issues with users putting lines on the moon. After that, we moved them down to 0 at all times. So that is a change, so that we don't know exactly how that will affect everyone out there, so it might be something good to look for. But now we will be more true also to how the AutoCAD drawings were actually drawn to when it comes to the 2D elements.
I was actually going to ask, how many people of the people on this call are coming to GrowRapids in October? Felipe, do we need to put you in quarantine beforehand, or how does it work?
It could be before or after, your choice.
So we got a few people coming to CT Experience. That's exciting. I know Felipe is actually giving a presentation, so he better be there. I guess it's there's a semi-decent segue to, when October comes, we'll be doing this session at CT Experience. So we won't have a virtual one for the next quarter. So the next time we'll do a virtual one will probably be early in 2025. Kyle posted one. One other issue I have with the VS Code extension is the terminal seems to have a line limit. When a crash happens, the stack dump is cut off and you can't see the start of it. Is there a fix coming for that?
I'm gonna check real quick, but I thought there was actually a VS Code setting for that, because the terminal isn't really our terminal. Oh, look. Okay, I found it. Yeah, there is actually in VS Code, there's a setting for terminal integrated scrollback, and I believe that is what controls how many lines you can actually have. Yeah, Felipe just found it.
Got about 10 minutes left here. If you do have any questions for the panelists, don't be shy. Go ahead and feel free to drop one. You do have a chance to talk to some of the people who've been doing this basically way longer than most other people have even been developers. So don't be shy. Feel free to ask what you got.
I have a question.
Go
Has
ahead.
there been news regarding the undo system with child snappers? We've been hesitant to use them recently because they're a pain to deal with. I was wondering if it got better.
That was a very open question. Could you specify a little bit better?
I don't know. We have used child snappers in the past 2 years in our extensions. We got told they're a cool new replacement for components. They are, although when it comes to undo and redo, there's a lot of bugs, a lot of crashes that are very hard to fix. We've been in contact with dev support a number of times. Oftentimes we hit the help limit. So we haven't fixed the problem, and you guys cannot help us any further because we spend too much time with you. So that's what is making us hesitant to use it any further.
So when did you last use it? Was it a year ago or so?
Yes,
any chance?
About a year ago.
Okay, so then it should be much better now when it comes to the undo system. We are using it extensively in the material handling business for pallet tracking especially. So there's a lot of child snappers and so on in that system, and undo works there. So I'm fairly certain, and I know we spent a lot of time getting the undo to work, and that was released about a year ago. So I believe you should be in much better shape now with child snappers and undo.
Good, thank you.
If you do go through using them and running the issues, of course, be sure you're submitting them. I know even here around the office, they're still grumbling around child snappers and undo, and it seems like a lot of it is unclear or just a general misunderstanding of. Usually, it's when to do things, like when is it okay to adopt a snapper and when is it not. Like before this or after that, or what triggers undo and what doesn't, things like this. Just these kind of intricacies are not super clear. Obviously, when we hear about them, we want to fix those up, but we don't know. Like we don't know what difficulties you're hitting, so just kind of let us know.
Yeah, on that note, it's the normal undo system actually has similar issues, but it seems like people hit them less often. But you can certainly get yourself out of order and in a lot of trouble not using child snappers too. It's been a few years since I've seen that sort of wild spread, but there was a time where I did nothing but chase undo problems for people. I think we did sanify quite a bit of it, but we may have to do the same sort of round for child snappers.
Just having a guess here, Magnus, tell me if you think I'm off base, but like most of the, I'm going to say, non-child snapper interactions are so well known and well defined and whatnot, we probably could handle them, right? So like insert animations and drag animations and connectors and snapping, like these are things that are so old and well defined, it's easy to predict where we need to do undo stuff, but child snappers are kind of new and interacting with them is kind of new. So we're probably just still being like working.
Yeah, I think you're onto something. It's in general, people don't do too much manual work, and therefore it works with the normal undo system, if you will. Whereas child snappers is a little bit more manual stuff. Where people get in trouble is usually when they do that kind of manual thing. You know, we insert this, and then you spawn something. You need to connect it, and you need to put it in, and then you end up in the exact same problem. So if you connect two snappers, I actually don't remember now, but the order you do things, if you insert/connect. If you get that order wrong, then it kind of blows up you as well. So I would imagine this is a very similar problem in many ways. I mean, at the end of the day, almost the same thing is happening, right? There's not a lot of special handling for child snappers. There's a little bit, but in general, it's a copy. We make a copy. And then we need to keep an eye on what is new and what is modified. When you modify, certain things happens. When you insert, certain things happen. So they need to be in order. Otherwise, you crash on undo. It records fine, but it records in such a way that it will break when it tries to resolve it on the way out. You're correct, Kyle. I mean, if you think about it, it's think of it just as an order of operations of things that it's trying to do, and it assumes that things that it work on are in space. So if you undo or if you remove a snapper, the removal of snappers in CT is sort of lazy. It kind of happens a little bit later in the event, if you will. And then if you do a modify afterwards, it will have an undo operation or undo step that has remove snapper, modify snapper. If you run that backwards, it means modify snapper, insert snapper. That modify is likely to that could definitely blow up on you. So you're right. So there is absolutely an order of operations that you need to follow. I've thought about trying to do something about it, but it's a fairly large project, and it's really hard to get code out there. The testing is pretty significant on making changes to the undo system. So it's one of those. It never quite gets started. I have thoughts, but I've never gotten to actual code on it.
I've had to step out because I'm taking care of baby. My wife has COVID, but we are having the same exact undo crash issues with child snappers. And so you're saying you have to, that modify could be causing the crash?
Absolutely could be. I'm not your case specifically. Each case is sometimes a little bit different, and it's it can be really complicated to chase down sometimes because the just references between snappers are a little bit different with child snappers versus normally when you have connectors between them. So there could still be a lingering bug somewhere. It should be able to chase it out, but yeah, in general, the order operations is the massive issue we're seeing. I've always seen with undo.
Perfect. Okay. Cool. And ours is using the accessory generation system that Colin created. And when the accessories get inserted and removed is when the crash happens during the undo chain. So probably something of some, yeah.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Kyle, that's the exact area that our crash happens is during the undo modify op. And it's that same thing if the ass snapper is active.
Not to scare you too much, but is active is that's a question that's slightly different between a child snapper and a normal snapper, since you do not exist in spaced out snappers. It's supposed to be somewhat stable, but this might be a case where it's not 100%. So if you can muck around with the order of things a little bit, if you do have time to try it out and it still persists, maybe we need to escalate it a little bit further. That makes sense.
Sounds good.
And no, you're not getting my home number.
Yeah, I know that Alexis loves child undo issues. It's her favorite thing in the world. So please send them to dev support if you are still having problems. We can at least give them a look, and then maybe we can start reporting these in mass and get somebody to take a look at it.
I think Alexis is on this call, right?
She is, yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm here.
Yeah. So if that persists, then maybe pull me in. Let's see if I can dig around a little bit as well.
Cool. That basically puts us at time. So I just want to say thanks to everybody who came today. I know we had quite a big crowd right when we started, especially. And thank you to the panelists for hanging out with us and answering some questions. I'll put this up on the YouTube channel, I'm hoping within a couple of days. And then, basically until next time, hopefully we'll see you in Grand Rapids.